Spoiler alert, a well-defined channel strategy is the blueprint for success in business. Good morning, everybody. Today, Ruby and myself are talking about balance. The implications of how we go to market, which channels we use to go to market, is the blueprint for success. And so if we get that blueprint right, we're going to win. If we get it wrong, we may still kind of win, but it may be at a cost to the business. It may be doing things that are dissonant with our customers. So it's a lot more hard work. Call it that. So today we're talking about balance in a channel strategy is really important. I think I'm pretty clear about my stance on cold outreach, but I'm in agreement that I'm looking 6 years out, not 6 months out. So none of that's going to change in the short term, nor should it, for a lot of reasons. Many of which are the implications to sales teams and what they have to do on a weekly and monthly basis. I just see the horizon, and the horizon tells me a very different story than what's happening today. However, when you start talking about channel strategy, it really starts to take all of these things into account. How much time does our sales team spend doing cold outreach or outreach in general, outbound? How much inbound do we get? How much does our marketing do? On which channels does our marketing spend their time? Is that paid? Is that organic? Is that email? Is that trade show and event? What is it? And so when you put a blueprint together for that and you map it all out and you put a data model behind all of that, this gets way easier. So if you're the CEO of a company or a CFO or an entrepreneur, business leader, you can take that conversation to a much more pointed level, which is, what are we doing on each of these channels? How effective are those channels? What are we doing to measure those channels? Is the measurement model right? And can we make sure that whatever's working we do more of, and whatever's not working we stop doing? And so that's really the goal of a CRO these days. And so for our purposes today, thinking about how channel strategies are that blueprint is really using your customer as the focal point. And so what do our customers want? How do they want to be catered to? What information do they require? What is the most frictionless way to get them to become our customers? How do we keep them as our customers? Those are the things that we want companies thinking about. And for our purposes today, when we look at a channel strategy, it really does boil down to, what is the team on the field? Who are the players that we don't have yet? If there's things that we're not doing. What are the strategies and components of the market that we have to spend more time on? And taking a step back to look at that channel strategy is really important. And then you can reverse engineer how the customer implicates into all of that. And this is the thing that I think a lot of people miss. They start with the channels, but they don't really put the customer at the front of that discussion. It's about us, what we do, what activities, what stuff. And that's really self-defeating, because A, we'll do things that our customer doesn't want us to do, and B, we'll spend money in places that we shouldn't. And for my general thesis, using sales as marketing with outbound cold outreach is really expensive, super duper duper expensive, and frictionful. So those two things alone make it curious for me to see how the money is spent. However, let's put clear eyes, objectiveness to that, and say, hey, if it's working, it's working. Cool. I better know my cost of acquisition on each of those channels. I better know what my CAC payback is on those channels, and then be able to understand more about how those things tie back to our overall revenue goals. So for my purposes, I want companies thinking about how that channel strategy will implicate the customer. I want to understand more about how we're doing, and so what is our data model to look at for that perspective? Do we know how we source deals? Do we know how we score leads? Let's use that term. Do we know how to make sure that pipeline is consistent? So if we're going to generate pipeline, based upon the what? Based upon what customers in what markets, with what channels? Partners is one, distribution is another. Are we letting someone else drive the bus? Are we letting our partners drive the bus and expecting good outcomes? Okay. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it doesn't. Do we know the difference? These are the things to think about. So balance. I'm all about balance. We can't do one thing and only one thing and expect good things to happen. We have to do many things. But can we manage those many things adequately with the right data models to make sure that our customer is at the center of all of that, to make sure we're winning? All right, enough for today. Ruby says, a good channel strategy is the hedge against everything. And if you can get that right, if you can get the mix right, if you can get the model right, you will win. All right, enough for today. Walking and talking with Ruby.